Hey everybody, hopefully that lesson yesterday wasn't too bad. I know that it was really long, so I'm hoping that this one I keep a little shorter for you. There was just a lot to explain in that last lesson. So let's go ahead, let's get started right away. I think you guys will like this one. It should be short and sweet, and it's super easy, I promise. Alright, lesson 8.4 is on solving proportions. Our learning target is I can solve proportions by using cross products. So we should already know what a proportion is because of yesterday's lesson. A proportion is two equivalent ratios. So what cross products are is cross products are in a proportion, my cross products are equal. So let's take a look at our example. So there's my first proportion. I have x to 6 equals 5 to 2. So those ratios are the same. But what I need to do now is I need to figure out what is x. And I know a lot of you could probably look at that and figure that out in your head. But our numbers aren't always going to be that easy, so we're going to use something called cross products. So just like yesterday when we were cross multiplying to see if the proportions were equal, we're going to use that same technique here when I'm looking for my variable. So right now I'm doing 6 times 5 and 2 times x. So on the top there you can see there's my 2 times x and my 5 times 6. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify that. 2 times x is 2x and 5 times 6 is 30. Then I'm going to use inverse operations to get rid of that 2. So that's I divide 2 on both sides and I end up with x equals 15. When I'm using cross products, I have two very simple steps. Step number 1 is to cross multiply. Step number 2 is to divide. Let's take a look at our first set of examples. Number 1, I have 6 to 9 equals x to 12. So I'm going to draw my arrows representing my cross multiplication, 9 times x and 12 times 6. I'm going to go ahead and simplify both of those. 9 times x is 9x. And 12 times 6 is 72. Now I need to divide by 9 on both sides, and this is when we drew our lines here. If that's something you need to do, you're more than welcome to do that. Those first set of 9s cancel out, and x equals 8. So cross multiply and divide. So 6 to 9 equals 8 to 12. Number 2. 3 to 4 equals 51 to x. So I like to always start with the one that my variable is on. So I've got 3 times x equals 4 times 51. 3 times x is 3x. And 4 times 51 is 204. Now we need to use our inverse operations, so I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. Those 3's cancel out, and x equals 68. So that means that 3 to 4 is equal to 51 to 68. Now I want you guys to notice right here, in this step right here, I'm actually going to skip this step. I think a lot of you can go from the cross multiplying right to here and just writing the equation. I'll show you what that looks like. Number 3. I like to always start with my variable, so 205 times x is 205x. So I'm just skipping one step. My next multiplication problem is 5 times 82, which is 410. Now I can go ahead and I can divide by 205 on both sides. Those cancel out, and x equals 2. So that means that 2 to 5 is equal to 82 to 105. So that's how we solve proportions. Now writing and solving proportions is really, really easy. The biggest mistake that people make is making sure that they don't stay organized. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. So in our word problems, number 1, 2 slices of Kari's famous pizza have 230 calories. How many calories would you expect to be in 5 slices of the same pizza? So to make this prediction, we're going to go ahead and use proportions. And it's easy for me to remember that because predictions and portions, those words kind of go together with the alliteration. So the first thing I notice is the two things that I'm comparing are slices and calories. And you'll notice that I have that on the screen already. It's kind of like when we're talking about rates, because that's what a rate is. It's a special kind of ratio when you're comparing two different things. So the first thing that I notice is I know that there's 2 slices of pizza and 230 calories. And those two numbers go together. Okay, right here. These two definitely belong together. So I'm going to put those on one side of my proportion. And I've already written that I'm going to put slices on the top and calories on the bottom. So I know that it's 2 slices for 230 calories. Now I want to know how many calories are in 5 slices of pizza. Well, since I have slices on the top right here and the 2 is also on the top, that means I have to put the 5 on the top. If I put the 5 on the bottom, I'm not going to get the right answer. Okay, they have to stay organized. Slices on the top, calories on the bottom. I do not know how many calories there are, so that's where my variable is going to go. And now we can go ahead and we can solve our problem. X times 2 is 2x. And 230 times 5 is 1,150. Now I can go ahead and I can divide by 2. And x equals 575 calories. So as long as you set it up right, it's a really easy problem. Let's take a look at another example. Number 2, a helicopter used for fighting traveled 25 miles in 20 minutes. At this rate, so it needs to stay the same at that rate of speed, how long will it take the helicopter to reach a fire that is 60 miles away? So the two things I'm comparing this time are miles and minutes, and I need to make sure that my numbers stay together, like the 25 and 20, and that I'm keeping the miles on the top and the minutes on the bottom. So 25 miles is going to go on the top, and that's in 20 minutes. My next number I have is 60 miles, and we're going to notice how the miles is on the top, so 60 miles is going to go on the top, and I don't know how long that's going to take, so that's going to be my variable. Now I can go ahead and I can cross multiply. X times 25 is 25x. And 20 times 60 is 1,200. So there's my cross multiplication. Now I need to divide by 25 on both sides. And x equals 48 minutes. And don't forget your label. All right, last problem. Number 3. Jackson is reading 374-page novel for his English class. It takes him 6 days to read the first 132 pages. If he continues to read at the same rate, how many more days will it take him to finish the novel? You might notice right away that this is actually going to be a 2-step problem, so there's a couple different ways that we can solve this. I'm just going to do one of them. So the first thing that I notice is that Jackson is reading a 375-page novel for his English class, and it takes him 6 days to read the first 132 pages. So I know that it took him 6 days to read 132 pages. Okay? Now the whole entire book, you'll notice that I made a mistake here. I put 6 on the top and 132 on the bottom, so I need to fix that. So it's 6 on the bottom and 132 on the top. Now I know that the book is 374 pages. The whole book is 374 pages. So if I use this proportion, that's going to tell me how many days total it's going to take for him to finish this book. So cross multiply. X times 132 is 132x. And 6 times 374 is 2,244. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide by 132 on both sides. And x equals 17 days. Now, that's not my final answer. That's how long it's going to take Jackson to read the entire book. My question says, how many more days will it take him to finish it? So he already spent 6 days reading it. So he has 11 more days until the book will be complete. All right, that's all I have for you today. You do have a couple IXLs you need to do. J11 is really easy, cross multiply and divide. J12 is also cross multiplication and dividing, but you need to set up your proportion right first. So make sure that you know the 2 different units that you are comparing and set it up nice and neat and organized, and you'll be sure to do a great job. Let me know if you need any help. Peace.